Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, GR Dad?
Good.
Excellent. So we have begun our second pitcher of sangria, though I see you drinking a beer.
Well, I had to wash my pills down with something. It seemed improper to do it with sangria.
It also seems improper to do it with beer.
Or to admit it.
It's
a liquid.
When we finish with this regular podcast, we're going on to record the bonus podcast for the subscribers. So if you would like to hear what that sounds like,
Gentle snoring from Ingo.
You can subscribe at patreon.com/thegoldenratio4.
No guarantees. Past results are no guarantees of future performance.
That's true.
Yeah.
The cocktail of the week this week is the Corpse Survivor number 2. We may have done that as a cocktail
good.
of the week before, but
it deserves a second mention. It is number 2.
Mom of Ched's had one in New Orleans. We all went to New Orleans and hung out, and she had a Corpse Survivor number 2, and I just sent her the recipe so she could make one at home last night, so I thought I would share it. There are a number of Corpse Survivors, so you have to specify the number.
It's so funny.
Corpse Survivor number 2 is by far the most popular.
Is there a default? I mean, if I went
Corpse Survivor number 2 is the default.
Yeah, because it's the best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an equal parts cocktail, so the same amount of all the ingredients goes in there. Except, so you take your glass. It goes in like a coupe glass. Fancy little Gatsby-style champagne, scoopy little glass. You do an absinthe rinse.
Ooh.
The proper way to do that is you put like a teaspoon of absinthe in the glass and you swirl it around
And then
and then dump out the extra.
Or drink it, but dump it out of the glass.
You could drink it, yeah.
Me?
Normally the way one does that now is they've got like little spray bottles and they like...
They missed it like orchids.
Missed it.
Yeah.
So, look, I don't like absinthe, so you could just leave that part out. Then to make the actual cocktail in a shaker, you will combine 3/4 of an ounce each of gin, Lillet Blanc, which, like, if you don't have, you could use sweet vermouth. You could use Saint Germain, which is an elderflower liqueur. But Lillet Blanc is really great, and you should totally have some. It's good just, like, by itself.
Got a very cool bottle.
Yeah. 3/4 of an ounce of triple sec, whatever kind of orange liqueur you like. If you want to be fancy, you can use Grand Marnier, use Cointreau, use the generic triple sec that you've got that one time you decide to make a margarita. It'll work.
It's got an orange on it.
Yeah. And then 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. So lemon juice, triple sec, Lillet Blanc, or one of those substitutes, and gin. Shake it up, strain it into your glass. Delish.
I like it because it scales. Like I could make one glass each of that, or not. But it's equal parts, so I could be like 1 glass of Lillet, 1 glass of triple sec, 1 glass of lemon juice, and then I just have a whole bunch of Corpse Survivor number 2. But it would taste okay.
It tastes the same.
Yeah, it's just a bunch.
Yeah, the only barrier is how big your shaker is. We have one shaker that we've never used to make cocktails, the Lighthouse shaker. This thing would hold like a quart.
It is. I think it's 2 pints. I think it's giant.
It is a silver lighthouse. It's super cool.
Fun. I know. It is much cooler as a lighthouse than as a shaker. I don't know if we've ever used it in combat.
No, it just lives as decoration in the liquor cabinet.
It looks great, and the fact that it has this hidden capability is real cool.
Maybe someday I'll use that.
It's a two-handed shake. You're not,
for sure.
You're not
no.
single-handed shaking that one.
No, the thing's giant. Anyway, we're not drinking that tonight. We're drinking sangria generally, but then apparently also beer. What kind of beer is that you're drinking?
It's from Colorado. It's called Living the Dream Powder Run Beer.
How is it?
Actually, Living the Dream is the brewery. It's good. It's from my Beer of the Month subscription that you are so nice to give me as gifts.
I'm so nice.
Every month I'm like, yay, Beer of the Month. And it has like 2 domestic beers and 2 imported beers. And this time they're from Germany and Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
They've been from Italy. They've been from Singapore, I think. So they really are international beers. It's very fun. I always enjoy that. Sometimes they're like ones I know from Germany or Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
But a lot of the U.S. ones are these little startup breweries that are...
We'd call them microbreweries.
Some would. That are sort of a little bit hit and miss, but they're always good. Some are really good. Some are clearly rusty. Are still testing stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun. It's a fun little way to get, what is it? I think 12 beers a month. So, not
I'm
quite
sorry,
a
dear
beer
Dad. I
a
just
day.
made like background noise, and I feel really bad about it. The listeners cannot hear it, but you could hear it, and I'm sorry for the distraction.
But I'm so professional now that I know that the listeners can hear it, and I am unfazed. I'm
Excellent.
just carrying on with my professional ramble about
Great job.
how I like beer.
Yeah, you and some
And
other people.
more is better.
All right, it's time for Feta, no! Feta, no! You just took that bone right out of Vink's little paw. I cannot believe you did that.
Don't
No!
wag your tail proudly, you
can't
little
do this.
thief.
That belongs to Vink. No, nobody take.
Oh, we have a bunch of rude dogs. Oh, Guac,
Vink,
good
I'm
boy.
sorry that happened to you. Feta, no.
Good boy,
Feta, no.
Guac.
Feta, no. Feta just
Guac's-
fetched it.
Guac's just disappointed
okay.
because it wasn't a ball. But Guac went over there all hopeful, and then he came back and he had like a weird expression on his face because he's like, "That's not a ball."
I
That's
took
just
the bone out of Feta's
some
mouth. I
stupid
threw it
bone."
back to Vink, and everybody's like, "Ooh, we're playing fetch now."
But it's not a ball, so Guac was disappointed. He didn't care about bone, and now Vank is too like
She's not interested. Now, Feta,
distracted.
you're allowed to have it. All right, that's fine.
the
All right.
drama. The drama.
It's time for administrative corner. Are you
My
ready?
adrenaline is pumping. Yes, I am. I love administrative corner. That's even more exciting than this thievery.
Okay. Number one. Last week on Administrative Corner, we mentioned that the wiki hadn't been updated recently and that if someone wanted to take on the mantle of updating the cocktail of the week and the German word of the week, they could.
I think we were very careful to thank the updaters in the past and to say what a great job they did.
Yes. And then we got a DM from Destiny, who is the friend of the squad who has been the maintainer of the wiki, who was like, oh my God, did not mean to neglect the wiki. And I was like, you owe the wiki nothing.
That's exactly what you said. You owe the wiki nothing.
But Destiny went in and updated everything. So everyone owes a debt of gratitude to Destiny. So for those of you who are like, have you done this as the German word of the week? You can check it on the wiki. The wiki is linked in our bio link.
Up to date, up to the second now.
Yep. So thank you to Destiny, who not just updated it recently, but has done tons of updates, keeping the wiki. So we go like, have we done this as the cocktail of the week before? We go look. And it's because of her efforts.
Yeah. So today's puzzle is to look up when the Corpse Survivor number 2 was last mentioned, because I'm pretty sure we've done it before.
We definitely have done it before because it's a good name.
Also, to circle back,
Yeah.
Corpse Survivor number 1, not as good. Number 3, also a fail. I don't know why they keep those in existence. They
Well,
should
I'll
be
tell
just
you, Ingo.
discarded like all the other unsuccessful experiments.
February 17th, 2021 is when we first did the Corpse Reviver number 2. We've also done the Corpse Pleading Face. Oh, no. The Obituary. It was in an episode that we titled Corpse Pleading Face, which is clearly a German word of the week. I name...
Oh.
You remember what the German word is?
Leichenbit. These are like, yeah.
All right, hang on. Now I got to look
I
up
remember.
episode 213,
Yes.
and then we can go to German word of the
Yeah.
week. And episode 213 was Leichenvitamine.
Vitamine. Leichenvitamine.
Vitamine.
Yeah,
I
it's
should have known that.
a sad face.
An exaggerated, solemn face,
Yep.
historically referring to those announcing deaths and calling people to come to the wakes.
Super serious face. Yep.
See how useful this is? Thanks, Destiny. You did a
Very
great job.
useful. It's just passed its user acceptance test.
Yep.
Again.
All right, number 2. This is from friend of the squad, Lilia V. So, fish scandals now go in administrative corner,
I think that's entirely appropriate.
and Bass Pro Shops scandals also go here.
They're
And-
fish adjacent.
And then last week, we did the fish taped to the ATM.
Yeah, it's fish.
And I was like, I don't know if it's a fish scandal, but I'm going to put it here.
Yeah.
But now fish taped to ATMs also go in administrative corner
I think it's
because Lilia V sent us an additional separate story about a fish taped to an ATM.
Wait, it happened more than that first series?
More than the
Wow.
first guy. There's another story.
Fish.
All right, here's the picture of the fish taped to
It
the
sure
ATM.
looks
It sure is a fish taped to an
It
ATM.
looks like that Fish Heads video from the 80s, yeah.
This man couldn't get the ATM to work, so he taped a fish to it for a truly bizarre reason, which is not actually that bizarre.
Why did he have a fish?
Troy Buswell is a man of action and quite possibly the most unconventional hero we've seen.
I don't think that's true.
When he noticed his ATM was still out of order, he did what any desperate person would do.
Go to the bank next door.
He taped a fish to the machine.
Not what I would do.
He took a picture of it and the caption read, "Hey, Commonwealth Bank, how about you service your fucking ATMs in Burnberry so punters like me will not have," and that's HIV, "to tape fish to them so you have no choice but to come and fix them." I'm trying to...
Is this Australian or English?
This is American. I'm trying to
No.
emphasize the all caps.
It's not American.
The more fish and tape and willpower that you're in... All right, let me just read this. The more fish and tape and will, power, than your, Y-O-U-R-E, no apostrophe, entire, I-N-T-I-R-E, organization. So that says, I have more fish and tape and willpower than your entire organization.
Look,
But
I'm going to keep taping fish here until you make the ATM work.
It's just spelled and punctuated wrong like 10 different ways.
Worst hostage note ever.
Fix them now.
That's not in America.
There's honestly a lot to unpack here, says the article. I don't really know where to start. Why does he have a fish? How many more does he have?
Why does he have tape?
Was this a first plan of action? How did he even come up with the idea to begin with? Is this a normal human thing to do? Am I the weird one?
What kind of fish is it?
Um,
Tuna? A small tuna?
I'm going to call it a mackerel, but I got to say I'm not good at that.
I like mackerel.
But apparently Buswell's attempt wasn't completely in vain, because even if the ATM is still broken, he brought plenty of attention to the cause when his post went viral, garnering 24,000 likes and 9,000 shares on Facebook. So he did post about his crimes on...
Not what he wanted. He wanted the ATM to work.
You've got to admit, for a fish tape to an ATM, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, he did post it himself.
He posted it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He took a picture of the fish tape to the ATM and then posted that screed that I just read to you.
Yeah, I don't think it's a crime. I'm not sure it's a crime to tape a fish
That
to an
kid
ATM.
got arrested for it.
Yeah, but it's bogus. They were wondering what to charge him with.
Well,
It's bogus.
it did link to his Facebook post, which has since been deleted. So
Well, I mean, he wants to correct the spelling.
this story is from back in 2018. And then there's one comment in this person says, "If I tape a fish to my life, will someone come and fix it?" It's like,
Apparently not, but you'll get a lot of followers. That's TikTok. I'm sorry, that's TikTok.
okay, so there you go. That's fish tape to ATM update. We also have a rat hole update.
Love it.
Okay, so you mentioned on the podcast last week that the Chicago rat hole, which is a rat-shaped hole in the sidewalk in Chicago,
A shrine to the rat-shaped hole.
It had been filled in.
So, roguely, though. Roguely.
So you will be pleased to hear Chicago's rat hole was mysteriously filled in and then restored.
There are enough protectors of the rat hole that
Now
you
it-
can't just fill it in.
Now it is a place of holy ratrimony. A rat-shaped hole in a Chicago neighborhood recently went viral and instantly won some fans. The hole was reportedly filled on Friday, but was quickly restored. People left behind tributes, while others got engaged and married at the hole.
I think that's awesome.
The viral Chicago rat hole was quickly restored after it was mysteriously filled in, proving how the imprint has instantly become a beloved attraction and a site for love, ?
Let's meet at the rat hole.
In a city infamous for its gangster past, some culprit filled in a north side Chicago neighborhood landmark affectionately called by residents the rat hole. The indentation in the pavement on West Roscoe Street resembles the outline of a rat. It is the outline of a rat.
It doesn't resemble. It is full on with little clawsies.
It was reported on Friday on social media that the rat hole had been filled in with a substance resembling white plaster. Transportation and streets and sanitation officials told the Chicago Tribune that the city was not behind the fill-in, which one day may find itself part of Windy City tongue-in-cheek lore like Al Capone's vault and a coil of bronze faux feces on a fountain intended to remind people to pick up their dog poop. Neighbors gathered Friday afternoon using a brush and water to scrub the shallow hole in the sidewalk clean, restoring it to its ratful place among the city's iconic, if not strange, attractions.
There's drama.
Tributes including plastic flowers, a prayer candle, small toys, a pack of cigarettes, and coins adorn what may have been the final resting place of Lil Stucky or Chimley, names given by some in the neighborhood to the
Little
creature.
Stucky because he got stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, honey.
Overall, people just appreciate that our wonderful block is getting attention, even if it's to look at a rat hole. It's a small, quirky feature of a neighborhood where we get used to it, we care about it, and we want to protect it.
Although I think there are some neighbors who don't like the attention and don't like the crowds, and they've been talking to the city of Chicago to, like, have the rat hole cut out and put somewhere in an art museum or something.
God. People living nearby said the imprint had been there for nearly 2 decades and was made by a squirrel.
That's interesting lore.
At the end of the day, the rat hole is a silly thing, but the thing that made it so viral is the fact that thousands of people were in on a big, sweet, heartfelt joke. This person told the Tribune, Chicago Tribune.
I think it's a low stakes, cute story.
Yep. So there you go. The rat hole not filled in.
Well, it got filled but unfilled.
Yes, that's right.
Vigilante filled and then vigilante unfilled, which I think is great. Direct action.
Number 4, insulin prices. Thanks, Joe Biden. You want to talk about that?
I've done my research.
Yeah.
We get insulin for Remy. It's human insulin because insulin is insulin, I think, for dogs. Which is another reason why we get along with them, I think. And it's always been, I think, $180 a vial. Mm-hmm. When the vial lasts maybe about a month.
That's about right. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. We could calculate it, but I'm not going to. But it's about that. So it's really expensive.
And this is like old school insulin. This is not like the super modern insulin that humans use.
Right. This is hard to find at CVS.
They usually have to order it because they're like, people don't actually use this insulin anymore.
Yeah, so it should be if there were a fair market for this, it should be cheap.
Yep.
They should be trying to unload this stuff at any cost. But anyway, it's it was always $180, which is, even the CVS folks were like, man, that's a lot of money. And I was like, oh,
you don't have insurance? And we're like, it's a dog.
Remy's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last time I went, the whole cost, with some gabapentin and stuff, was was $70, and I was like, what the heck happened? Did you charge the do you remember the insulin on there? I don't want to rip you guys off, which is stupid. I want to rip off CVS, just not like those pharmacists, because I like them. And they're like, no, the insulin's $50. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's because of Joe Biden forcing the industry to come down on prices. I hadn't actually, it's dumb in hindsight, but I hadn't put together that it would have impact Remy.
Yeah.
When I heard them talking about $35 insulin.
Yep.
I didn't think it was Remy insulin. But it is, so it's great. Good job, Joe Biden.
Pretty awesome.
That's going to help so many people with dogs,
amazing.
And especially for themselves. So hopefully, that's a huge chunk of money.
I am finishing this EMT class that I'm doing.
I'm sorry. That is a whole separate... You just introduced a factoid into here that has not been discussed before.
I feel like I've talked about the EMT class.
I'm not sure.
Before.
You've talked to some people about it. I'm not sure it's been in the podcast.
So I'm getting an
Check
EMT.
the wiki.
I'm getting an EMT license for fun.
Emergency medical technician.
Yeah.
For those outside the United States.
I can save you if you get in a car crash.
It's someone who rides along in an ambulance and is sort of second to the paramedic.
There's a lot of ambulances that don't have paramedics. It's just EMTs.
Oh, well, okay, there you go. But you're there. You go to the scene of the accident, injury, sick person.
I learned how to triage mass casualty incidents this week.
That's right. So you're up on ABC incidents.
Yeah.
Atomic, biologic.
Yes, we did learn all of that. Yep.
Claustrophobic.
Learned about that too. Learned that you got to park uphill and upwind from hazmat incidents and how to triage people. You have categories that are like urgent.
Black.
Yes, there's colors that go with them. Black is dead. Urgent is red. Delayed is yellow. That's people who have like broken bones and stuff. We're like, they got to get treated. But and then there's like minimal, like the walking wounded, people who need like stitches or have cuts or stuff, but like nothing they're going to die from. And then there's dead people. And then there's a category called expectant, which is like, they're not dead yet, but they're pretty much going to be dead. So we'll be nice to them if we've got enough people, but we're not going to treat them.
It's backwards.
Real grim.
It's backwards from normal care, where normally you're like, if they're seriously injured, you devote all your energy to them to help fix them.
They have reverse triage that they'll do. So the example that we got is like six golfers are standing under a tree in a lightning storm, and they all get struck by lightning, and 3 of them are in cardiac arrest and 3 of them have burns. Reverse triage, you treat the ones in cardiac arrest, where like at a mass casualty incident with regular triage, you wouldn't treat the ones who are like not breathing and don't have a pulse.
Yeah. I hate to be the, cynical about this, but that example was concocted by a bunch of men from the suburbs.
The golfers?
The 6 golfers.
That happened. That just happened in D.C. Remember those? Like
there were 6 golfers, and they
weren't
were
golfers. They
and
were tourists. They died. Remember? They were in the park
about
across from the White House.
Golfers.
Well, I mean, golfers get struck by lightning a lot.
Why isn't the example tourists? It's
Because
golfers.
I think golfers get struck by lightning a lot. All the examples we do are like actual shit that happened.
Golfers.
They're not all golfer examples, no.
Okay.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. So just like, so we have like a section on like medical emergencies and then a section on like trauma, right? So you have like broken bones and like car crashes and like lot of gunshots, a lot of sexual assault. There was a whole like gynecological emergencies, and I was like, oh, this is going to be about delivering babies, and no, it was all about sexual assault. But in the medical emergencies, there's like endocrinological emergencies, and I was like, what is this? And like so much of it is about people with diabetes that don't treat it.
Oh, how about alcohol poisoning?
There's we did a little bit on alcohol poisoning. I mean, so much like being an EMT, you're not a paramedic, right? So you can't. There's like 9 drugs that we're able to give. Like one of them's oxygen, right? We can give like an EpiPen. We can give aspirin to people having a heart attack. But like
one of them's aspirin?
Yeah. If you're having a heart attack, we can give you baby aspirin.
I can give myself baby aspirin.
We can't really give anything that like people couldn't give themselves.
Oh, okay.
Like if you get stung by a bee and you have an EpiPen, like we can give you an EpiPen.
Mm-hmm.
You usually, it depends on.
I see.
The thing, but like we don't give a lot of drugs. It's mostly like we can give CPR, we can put people on oxygen, we can put on tourniquets, basically like get you like just barely stable enough to get you to the hospital.
And then do a diagnosis and be able to tell the hospital, here's what I think's going on.
Yeah.
Here's what I've observed, which is already saves them a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So like paramedics can do a ton. They can give you like all kinds of medicine. They can do IVs, and that's like a much harder thing. Like this EMT thing has taken me like 3 months, but like paramedics would be like a year to get a paramedic thing, which would be cool, but I don't know that I've got the time to do that. But yeah, a ton of the stuff is treating people with diabetes and like all the complications that come from that. And they have us watch Night Watch, which is a great show that I had watched before. So Night Watch is like kind of like Cops, but basically EMTs instead of cops.
Good guys.
And it's set in New Orleans. It's on A&E, so if you have like I think a Paramount Plus subscription, you can watch it. If you've obviously got regular cable, you can watch it. It's
if
great.
You're overseas, you probably cannot.
No. But it's a really good show set in New Orleans, and they have a ton of diabetic patients. It's just kind of like responding to calls, and they're like, when was the last time you took your insulin? And it was like 3 weeks ago I took my insulin. And it's like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
Remy gets it twice a day.
Why even bother? You're unregulated.
Well, and that's why the ambulance is coming for him. Oof. Yeah, it's real grim.
But if it's $180, that's like half of rent. That's ridiculous amounts of money.
If you're like a poor person.
Yeah. If you're making hourly wage.
Like I cannot imagine in a lot of my life paying $180 a month for medicine. No way.
That at a oh my God, what's minimum wage? $7. At a $10 an hour wage before taxes, like you're getting $6 an hour or $7 an hour, and you have to save up $180 that month to just pay for your insulin. Holy cow! That would be.
It's like almost a whole week.
So hard.
It's terrible.
I probably wouldn't take the insulin either. Right? The theory being, got to die from something.
Yeah.
I'd rather buy food than insulin because that's your choice.
Really grim. So anyway, thanks Joe Biden. I mean, nice
Thanks,
for us,
bud.
but really life-changing for a lot of
If he
people.
did nothing else, that is going to save people's lives
Yeah.
right there.
Yep, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, dog updates. I just got back today. I was in Maryland Monday through Friday.
Sorry, that's a Jen
I was out of
update.
town.
So I don't think that counts as a dog update.
I'm just saying you were in charge of the dogs this week.
Technically,
Chaos has reigned because I was not here. That's my point.
there's been a lot of towels being washed and cleaned. There's been some real swims, but no escapos, which is great. Speaks well for all of them.
Yep.
It is nice that Feta has decided she wants to be just like Guac, which means she's kind of Guac's little shadow.
Yeah.
Which means the fact that Guac is not interested in escaping means Feta isn't either. Like, she'll swim out to the edges, but I think she has an invisible, line connecting her to Guac.
She wants to be just like the Guac.
She does do things that Guacamanda, which is great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, except that they both get muddy. They both roll around in the muddy field, but what are you going to do? They're both well behaved.
Vink went up for chemo this week. This is week number 2 of round number 2. So just remind you guys, there's 4 weeks of treatment and 1 off week, and we do that 4 times. So we're in cycle number 2, and this is week number 2. And last time, this is the medicine that gave her the problem with her white blood cells. She was kind of fine for 5 days and then started getting sick and was really sick by the time she went in. So they cut back the dose of it a bit this time, and so we are on watch to see how well she does.
Yes.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. We've figured out we're giving her the anti-nausea medicine in the mornings.
Yep.
We add some chicken for flavor, and she seems to be responding really well to that. She does kind of enjoy. Well, I mean, heck, she's Venk. She enjoys mealtime still.
Yeah.
Thank goodness she still does the bouncies.
Yeah, I mean that one day that she was really bad when we went up to Miami, that sucked.
That was not good.
So she's so far
so
seems like her normal.
She's been going swimming. She's goofing around. She's still not super psyched to get bitten and chomped by Feta, but that's a whole different issue.
Quite.
That's rational.
In other Vink news, her Morris Animal Foundation Golden Retriever Lifetime Study sample kit arrived today. So this is where she gets to go for an hour-long vet appointment, and they take 15 vials of blood.
Take all her fluids.
Nail clippings and hair clippings. Yes, urine sample. I think they take a fecal sample. They want everything.
They do. I think they make her blow her nose in a clinic.
So we have to make that appointment, and by we I mean probably you, because I'm leaving again next week.
That's gonna make me popular with the vet clinic. They're like, oh no, we got to do all that and deal with the foundation and send them the stuff, and it has to be, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, because you got to FedEx it right away. I mean, it's a pretty. I mean, look, it's a clinical research experiment, so they don't want it to be affected by anything that isn't controllable.
Yep.
So good for them. You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Other than that, everybody's pretty fine. Feta weighs 54 pounds. Ingo texted me. Feta went along for Vink's appointment, and so Ingo was texting me, and he's
so I put Feta on the scale.
Yeah, and he's like, Feta weighs 54, and I was like, wow, okay. And he's like, her head weighs 8 ounces. And I was like, oh, well, her head is extremely
really
small.
She's growing from the butt first.
Yeah.
The butt has gotten big, and the head has remained small. So I don't know what's going to happen. She's going to have gaps between her teeth if her head grows.
Oh, honey.
We'll see.
Everybody else is good.
Yep. So far, I mean, we've had people working downstairs, so it's been a little bit more interesting. We've had to walk them. I've had to walk them more instead of just letting them out in the yard because the gate's always open.
Yep.
But they all seem to enjoy that.
Yeah, it's good.
Feta tries to eat every dead thing and every chicken bone that somebody left, and she's a real menace still. But cute and charming. Good job, Feta.
Are we ready for ramblings?
Keys. Yeah, ramblings and then keys?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was sent to us by a friend of the squad, but unfortunately I didn't write down who it was. So I'm sorry about that. The story is, frankly, a crime that if I had known was a crime, I would have been arrested for in the past.
I don't think it's a crime.
Man fined for pretending to be ghost in Portsmouth Cemetery. And the sub-headline is, police spokesman says witnesses complained about Anthony Stollard, quote, throwing his arms in the air and saying, woo.
If that's a crime, then I have committed that crime. He didn't even have a sheet over his head.
No. So, hang on. Here's a story. A man has been fined for... Now, this is an old story, 9 years old.
Is it Portsmouth, Virginia, or Portsmouth, England?
I believe England.
Okay.
This is in The Guardian. So, and it's in UK News, so definitely England.
There you go.
A man has been fined for pretending to be a ghost and other rowdy behavior in a cemetery.
Rowdy.
Anthony Stollard pleaded guilty at Portsmouth Magistrates Court to using threatening or abusive words or behavior likely to cause distress. The court heard that the 24-year-old had been out drinking with friends when they went to Kingston Cemetery in Portsmouth, where they started to play football. A Hampshire police spokesman said the witnesses complained to police about Stollard's rowdy behavior and his pretending to be a ghost. Quote, the witnesses reported the group engaging in rowdy behavior and one of them throwing their arms in the air and saying, woo. Stollard of South Sea, Hampshire, was fined £35 and ordered to pay a £20 victim surcharge and £20 in costs.
This is not the 1830s. This is a few years ago.
This is 2014.
You can get fined for going, woo.
Yes, apparently.
That wouldn't fly here.
He also had an extra 3 months added to a conditional charge for previous harassment, which he was found to be in breach of, according to a Crown Prosecution Services spokesman. A charge of causing criminal damage to gravestones was dismissed.
I get the don't disrespect a graveyard and the dead. Don't play football there. But being a ghost, pretending to be a ghost, that's kind of in the spirit of a graveyard.
Yeah.
There are dead people there.
I used to walk around the graveyard in the little hometown I grew up in, like a cape with a hood.
Wow.
Just kind of like drag my feet.
Did you wait for foggy days? Because if it
I
were
went all
foggy,
the
that
time.
would be cool.
I scared the crap out of some people.
That's like the Edgar Allan Poe thing in Baltimore, right? With the caped figure that leaves a rose at Edgar Allan Poe's gravesite every year at his birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's some excitement in a graveyard is good. Playing soccer
what are you doing yes.
would be bad. That is completely disrespectful. But, pretending to be a ghost, that's right on what people would expect, I think.
Yeah, what do you expect when you go to a cemetery? Nobody pretending to be a ghost?
That's why you go there if you don't know anyone there. If you know someone there, then you go there to visit them. But, there could be ghosts left and right.
Yep, for sure.
That's where else would there be ghosts?
Exactly.
That is the most likely spot. And actually, you shouldn't complain. That's probably where their home should be. Not in my house.
Yeah.
In the graveyard.
Yeah.
Huh. It's fine.
Ready for Taste of the Keys?
Yeah.
Just got a quick little one from Conch Life this week.
Sure.
Man arrested for burglary. A 28-year-old Little Torch Key, Florida man was arrested Tuesday for burglary after punching a resident.
That is not burglary. I'm not a lawyer. Actually, I am a lawyer. Punching someone is not burglary.
Spencer was charged with battery on a person over 65.
Fair enough.
Burglary and criminal mischief.
Wait, punching an old person is worse than punching a young person?
The sheriff's office
Stupid
was
Florida.
called to Jolly Roger Drive at approximately...
I know where that is. I've driven past there.
Yeah, we drive past that a lot. At approximately 9:30 a.m. The 68-year-old male victim reported he saw Spencer inside his vehicle.
His own, the 65-year-old's vehicle.
Yes.
Ah.
So the 68-year-old goes outside. He sees this 28-year-old sitting in his car.
Get the hell out of my car.
Spencer, the 28-year-old, punched the victim in the face, who later realized the inside of his residence was burglarized as well.
That is the worst theft ever. He got as far as the car?
A door had been forced open. He seems to have forced his way into the house, burgled it, then gone into the car.
And fell asleep?
I don't know what he was doing in there. But
eating a burger.
Spencer was quickly found and take it to jail.
He was found because there's no place to hide.
Because he's just
Like,
sitting in the car.
Yeah, or he like tried to go in the mangroves and went 3 feet in and was
Nowhere
like,
to go if you're
"It's
down
fine.
there.
I'm
You're on
done."
Jolly Roger Drive on Little Torch Key. There's nowhere to go.
I've tried to turn around there before.
Yeah. No.
It's too narrow.
No.
It does not work.
Mm-mm.
Well, this guy's a dummy. And also, don't punch guys if you're stealing from them.
Also, don't burgle things.
Also, yes. I have another Keys update.
Okay.
You remember Gwen Filosa,
Two-time Pulitzer Prize winning friend of the squad, Gwen Filosa, and her dog.
That's her.
Sergio.
We
talked about this on the last podcast.
We talked about Sergio?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's a cutie. That's all I have to say.
I guess, all right, if we didn't mention it, 2 times Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and friend of the squad, Gwen Filosa, got a new dog named Sergio.
Rescued what I think is a pit bull or some kind of variation of pit bull.
Super cute little dog.
Super cute little eyes.
Like 3
and
months old.
face.
So cute.
She's very enamored, and he seems like a good boy.
She's Key West Gwen on the socials.
Yeah.
Or at least on Twitter, so go follow her and Sergio.
She is living a life well, I think.
Yep.
So that's all I had for the additional things for the Life of the Keys update.
It's time for German Word of the Week.
Well, this is somebody might have talked about this. Somebody might have, I think a friend of the squad sent this to me. As not necessarily as a word of the week, but as an observation. There's a German word called, if you drive around an obstacle, it's umfahren.
Umfahren.
Ich fahre das Haus herum.
Okay.
Right? But the root verb is umfahren.
Umfahren. You fahre
Yeah. But if you pronounce it differently, spelled the same, if you say umfahren.
See, which is what I was saying. So you're saying umfahren, but if I say umfahren.
Yeah, emphasis on the first syllable.
Yeah.
It means to run over something.
Oh.
Someone, usually. Ich fahre dich
You ran over me.
Fuhr den Fußgänger So it's the same word, but if you, it's like, I mean, is this Chinese where you
where the emphasis really matters?
Emphasis matters, and it does in this case. It can be it's the same verb, same in writing the same verb, but if you say
so if I say ich fahre dich that means I drove around you.
No, ich fahre dich means I ran you over.
How do you say I drove around you?
Ich fahre dich herum. You use like the dative and prepositions, right? You got to explain the preposition that you're around. I'm driving around you. Interesting. Yeah. So ich fahre dich
don't hurt the Blauhai, Feta.
If ich fahre dich you're the direct object, and I'm driving over you.
I ran over you. Ich fahre dich herum. I drove around you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was just interesting to me that I wouldn't have thought of German as a language where the pronunciation matters, that the enunciation matters, but it does.
Interesting.
It's like Chinese.
In this one very narrow sense.
I mean, sort of, that's what I know of Chinese, is that if it's very much about
you don't speak Chinese.
The tone, not at all. But about the tone and where you put the emphasis, and it can mean many different things. People get themselves in trouble. So there you go, umfahren or umfahren, but it's umfahren either way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
It's time for Ingo Corner, where you say whatever you want, and I won't tell you that it's boring.
Yeah. I continue to get written notes and packages. We got a lunchbox.
Oh my God, a Jaws lunchbox. It's so fucking
belatedly
cool.
For Christmas and our birthdays. It's a Jaws lunchbox. Was it 80s? This is like a lunchbox that could have been in the 60s
Old
too, right?
School.
It's a metal lunchbox in that format, full of Chex Mix, which is a lot of freaking Chex Mix. And those goldfish are teeny tiny. They're real small. But there's lots of them. So that was cool. And then I got some socks that said, "Don't think, just Vink."
Those are also great.
With pictures of Vink jumping up and down.
Less think, more Vink.
So I continue to be amazed, touched by everyone's generosity in writing and sending stuff. It's great. Thank you
nice.
so much to everyone.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. And until next time, Slava Ukraini, and don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
That's right.
Bye.